There's a man in this town you can spot from a mile. Walks tall, tall, straight, wears a steel hard smile. Got truth in his pocket, fire in his eyes. If you throw him shade, better think twice. Think he's on that, tells it like he's got a rock steady stand. Love his country, his kid, and his sweet is so true. Backs down to no one, and that's just what he'll do. That's just what he'll do. From the crack of the dawn till the set of the sun, if there's work to be done, you know he's the one. He hits the streets with a social experiment, camera in hand.
Like I said, I'm not over here for anything for trespass, okay?
Think
You realize that
he's his
I
own man,
have to comply
tells
with
it
the
like
right
he's got a
identification.
rock
Incorrect.
steady stand. Love his country, his
No, thank you.
kid, and his sweet is so true.
You don't have to know who I am.
That's just what he'll do. That's just what he'll Yeah, you can run, you can hide, you can bluff if you can, but you can't shake the hand of a truer man. Then think
So, my friends, here he is. Finkel?
All right, good evening, except for Tekiwi, good morning, good afternoon, whatever time it is in Tekiwi land. It's Finkel, and pretty soon the kids will be going back to school. For some of you, the kids are already back in school, but most of us, the grandkids, will be going back to school soon. And the younger ones, the probably 5th or 6th grade and younger, will probably be telling stories of what they did this summer. So this is my back to school, what I did this summer. Well, actually, what I did on the 16th of August, one particular day in my summer. I went to D.C. And I've been going to D.C. a lot lately since the alleged Trump takeover of the D.C. police. By the way, I wish the media would stop putting it that way. Trump has not taken over the D.C. police. In fact, Pam Bundy tried to put the DEA chief in charge of the city police, and the court said no, and the mayor said no, and the deputy mayor said no, and the actual chief of police said no. The federal government does not control the DC Police Department, known as Metropolitan Police, MPD. But because they don't, a lot of federal agencies are patrolling the streets of DC, and they've added for image, and I say for image, they've added for image the local National Guard. And I understand now they're bringing in some West Virginia National Guard. Isn't that interesting? They have to skip a state to get... Actually, that scares me, because the National Guard around D.C., Maryland, Northern Virginia, the easily deployable National Guard, they're part of the population. They think like most of us. Trump's a fucking retard. So they have to skip a state and get farther out into the redder areas to get National Guard who might be sympathetic to their cause. Well, currently, as of today, the National Guard, the mission may be changing. The National Guard is not armed. They don't have a mission. They don't have a rules of engagement. What they have is instructions to stand post or walk around the mall or drive around the city in uniform and in their military vehicles to present the image of here we are to save the day. But they're really not doing anything. In fact, today I saw the mall patrols They're going into museums and they're enjoying the sights. It's hot outside. They're buying beverages from the vendors. They're not really doing anything except for being seen. They're not enforcing or protecting anything. It's just like, oh, look, BDUs on the mall. Oh, look, Humvees driving through Southeast. They're not detaining anyone. They're not arresting anyone. They don't have a mission. Their mission is give up your civilian jobs for 30 days and show an appearance. Total fucking waste of taxpayer dollars. But who are getting involved are the feds, the FBI, the DEA, HSI, ICE, the park police. They've even gotten the park police in on it. I haven't seen any Capitol Police. Capitol Police are pretty much stuck to the Capitol grounds and protecting members of Congress. But yeah, all these federal agencies out there haranguing and harassing the citizens of DC and the tourists, but not the National Guard. So recently I saw on YouTube, they started putting up checkpoints, temporary checkpoints. I'm like, aha, finally, a checkpoint. Since I've been doing this YouTube stuff, I wanted to go through a checkpoint so badly. So I put cameras at different angles in my car. I used a portable, it's not a generator, but you charge it up for a day or two and it'll run electricity for a few days. What do you call it? It's like a really big, heavy battery. I charged it up and I ran my dash cam through that because, when you go through a checkpoint and they realize you're recording from your dash cam, they tell you to turn off your car because most of the time when you turn off your car, the dash cam goes off too. So I got the dash cam all set up. I got copies of my registration and insurance put where I can reach for them without going through a glove box. I was like, so I'm not scary when I reach for them. I'm all ready to do this this checkpoint thing, and I drive around DC and I don't see any checkpoints. I'm like, oh well. And then as I'm passing the mall, I noticed the National Guard walking around the mall in groups. Not in formation groups. When I was in the military, if we went from A to B, we had to march or go in a formation of some sort. They're just kind of hobbling along, bebopping around the mall in groups of 3 to 5, 6, or 7. And sometimes they, two groups will meet each other and they're just, laughing and joking. Just regular people that just happen to have, military uniforms on. So I'm thinking, aha, I got my fake drone remote control in the back of the car. So I went and paid $21 to park. Love DC parking prices. And I walked down to the mall and I started to fly my fake drone. Basically, I've got a drone remote controller without batteries, and I look up and upwards and I wiggle the controls on the device as if I'm flying a drone. And I'm doing it, and I'm walking towards the part of the mall where the Washington Monument is, because right across Constitution Ave is the Eclipse, and there's the 1 yard of the White House. Because I saw a Humvee parked just off of Constitution Ave, and so I'm flying my fake drone over Constitution Ave and over the mall as I'm approaching the Humvee. And as I'm approaching the Humvee, sure enough, a cluster of probably 5-foot soldiers, no guns, no no badges, no MP armbands, and the only reaction I got of them is they're starting to look up in the sky in the direction I'm looking. Nobody says a word to me. Why? Because they don't have a rules of engagement. They don't have a mission. How you doing, Giggles and Mr. Wilson? And I'm sorry, I'm ignoring the chat. The Kiwi, Nerdy, and Alan Killam of 8647. So I walk around the mall a little bit, and I realize these foot patrols, these unorganized foot patrols, they're pretty much just sightseeing. And I realize their mission is to be seen. And they're enjoying the sights. I mean, there's a lot of stuff to see on the mall. There's several Smithsonian museums. There's the monuments. It's really lovely. It's very hot. Bring money for the water vendors and the Gatorade vendors if you go. So I'm slowly making my way up, and I'm like, okay, the best reaction I get out of National Guard foot patrols is they look up in the air as if I'm really flying a drone. and kind of funny, but not really good YouTube stuff. So I walk up towards the National Archives. Security guards don't even look up, and then I walk across the walk around the DOJ building, the Department of Justice. I spent particular time in front of Pam Bundy's office, looking up in the air, wiggling my fake mouse on my fake drone flyer, and the security there don't care. And then I crossed the Pennsylvania Avenue onto to the J. Edgar Hoover building, the building for the FBI. It's a Saturday, so there wasn't a lot of traffic, a lot of people, but they do have their security guards out. And I'm walking around the FBI building. It's kind of an ugly building, pretending to fly my drone, looking up in the sky. And I pass one checkpoint, the entrance into the parking garage, and I hear a voice behind me. It's a woman's voice. She says, "Sir, are you flying a drone?" And I'm looking up in the air, wiggling my drone mouse toggle sticks on the drone controller. I said, "No." I quickly glance over.
Okay, I found this on the web
I'm
for
not
flying a drone.
I'm not.
Looking up
Shut up, Siri.
drone.
Shut up. Shut up. Shut up. All right. Did I say anything about? No. Okay. So it's a lady uniformed FBI, and she's talking to the shack guard, the gate guard, the parking way guard, who's also an FBI uniform, and they're kind of watching me. They're not looking up, and so I cross the street and come back up the other way. And as I'm trying to drive in that I'm flying a drone, but claiming I'm not flying a drone, she comes back out of the guard shack and she walks towards a large white SUV. Keep in mind, it's like 90 something degrees out there. It's August. It's fucking hot out there. I don't know how long she was there, but she had been talking to the gate guard and she talked to me probably 15, 20 minutes before I came back up the block on the other side of the street. And I see her paralleling my walk. And at first I'm thinking, is she watching where I'm going? Did I bait one? No, she goes to the white SUV, and I realize the white SUV is an FBI K9 unit vehicle. And she brings out a dog. And her and the dog walk back towards the gate shack in the opposite direction I'm going. I'm like, how long was that dog in that non-running SUV in 90 plus degree weather? How long? Like, what the fuck? So I'm tired, I'm frustrated, got nothing good for YouTube. Maybe a few National Guardsmen looking up in the air. Maybe when I render the video, if I see the lady go get her dog out of the K9 car, might be worth a few views. So now I'm walking back to my $21 parking area. I'm a dipshit. I forgot where I parked. So as I'm wandering up and down 8th Street and New York Ave between 14th and 15th, go back to 13th and 12th. Can't remember where I parked. And I come across a Wawa and I get me a nice cold, like frosty beverage because I'm sweating my ass off. I'm hot. And I'm sucking down my my cold drink and hear chanting, angry chanting off in the distance. I'm like, aha! A protest. I do love me a good protest. Let me tell you something about DC and protests. I've been here consistently since 1998, and I've been here a few times before then. For example, on my way to Germany, we passed a few. No, on my way to Korea. I'm sorry. On my way to Korea, my brother worked at the Pentagon, and I spent a couple days here with my brother. And he took me and showed me some sites in DC, and they had a big protest. And on that day, they were protesting the first Bush's putting troops in Kuwait and Saudi Arabia. It was just before the air war started in the first Gulf War, and they were protesting that. I thought, man, these people are loud. Of course, I was a soldier at the time and was not sympathetic to the cause. I'm like, how dare they? And my brother reminded me, hey, they have a First Amendment right. I'm like, all right, they do. Okay. So I kind of forgot about it. And then when I moved here in 98, a protest is a very common thing. They protest everything: pro-life, pro-choice, anti this president, pro that president, and some of them are loud and large. I've been to several as a participant, and I thought, wow, this is a lot of people, and this is loud. So I'm there somewhere around H Street, looking for the parking area that I parked in and can't figure it out. And I hear the protest. I hear the chanting. It seems loud, but it's distant. So I start walking towards the noise. I'm thinking, is this going to be an anti-Trump protest, or maybe it's a protest? Either way, it'll make good YouTube, right? So I'm walking towards it, and they're getting louder, and I can't see them yet. I see some red and blue lights off in the distance. I'm like, okay, they must be cording off a part of what I imagine to be maybe Chinatown. No, it's too close to be Chinatown. On 8th Street there, probably 7th or 8th Street. And they're getting louder, and I'm getting closer. And now I can see people, can't tell how many yet, but they're repeating words like murder. I'm like, what, are these people pissed off because of all the social safety nets that Trump's cutting? Why are they here? This isn't really a political area. This is a shopping area. Restaurants and finer stores. As I'm getting closer, I realize their cause is, get this, their cause is not political, it's animal rights. They're screaming and hollering at a store that sells makeup. And they're calling them murderers because their furry little friends are somehow being sacrificed for makeup. I'm like, what the fuck? I mean, I'm not, I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm not unsympathetic to their cause, but as I get close enough to, I can see their number between 20 and 30, and I can hear their volume as loud as the loudest protests I've ever heard in DC. And I realized what their message is and who they're yelling at. They got 20 to 30 people, and they have about 10 or 12 bullhorns, and they're yelling into their bullhorns just inches from the front door of this store, and they're blocking the fucking sidewalk. I'm thinking that's a lot of fucking energy over some fucking cows and pigs and chickens and whatever. That's a lot of energy. And then I'm getting pissed because, you know, we're losing our republic. We're losing our democracy. I don't care if you call it a democracy or a republic. It's a democratic republic or it's a Republican democracy. It's not a dessert topping or a floor wax. It's fucking both, and we are losing it. And people are dying. People are dying from a lack of social safety net. People are going to die of starvation. People are going to die of disease because of what the RFK Jr. tard is doing. And these people are literally the small, except for the crazy guy who carries the sign, "The end is coming." This is probably the smallest protests I've ever seen, but they're the loudest and angriest I've ever heard. Probably with the help of their bullhorns. And one of the things that kind of triggered me, they're blocking the sidewalk. And I realized their message, their purpose, their volume, and they're blocking the sidewalk. I stood up straight and I walked right through the center of them. And they kind of glared at me. And then they saw my F Trump hat and they were like, oh, yeah, oh, cool. And I got to the other side of them. Wasn't very long. It wasn't big enough protest to cover the width of the store on the street front. And I'm just fuming. And I turned back around and I walk through again. And, they're kind of confused. Do they block me? Do they let me through? He's got a F Trump hat on. He can't be all bad. But he's got an angry look on his face. So they're kind of like, they move like they're going to block me, and they look at my hat and they look at my face. Can't really tell if they're looking at my hat or my face. But then they back up and let me through. As I get back to the end, as I'm ready to leave now, I just wanted to show them I'm walking through your shit. You're not going to block my fucking sidewalk, exercising your First Amendment right. You're not going to block my movement on a public area. Fuck you, because I'm pissed. And one of the guys puts on his bullhorn and starts talking to me. I'm like, I can't fucking hear you. Your other 9 or 10 bullhorns are making sure of that. You probably can't hear me either. And he kind of looks at me funny. He walks with me until we get a little bit further until we could actually hear each other talk, or at least I could hear myself talk. Hell, when I first said it to him, I couldn't hear the words coming out of my mouth because these fuckers are so fucking loud. He says, have you heard of our cause? I'm like, yes, I've heard of your cause. You don't like our cause? And he's looking up at my hat. I'm like, I'm not unsympathetic to your cause, but our republic is dying. Human beings are dying. Human beings are going to die. And you're worried about your fucking furries. Why don't you put half this energy into opposing Trump? Why don't you put half this energy into saving our republic? Or if you prefer, our democracy. Whatever you want to call it, we're losing it. Why don't you put this kind of energy and motivation and volume into that cause? And then, once we save the human beings of the republic, maybe we could look at your furries. And he's like backing up and he's like, oh shit. He says, now if you excuse me, I'm going to go home and I'm going to have a steak wrapped in bacon. And I left. I took me a while to figure out where I parked. I finally figured out where I parked and I left, and I'm yelling at my dash cam. I don't know which footage I'll render. I got home and I did. I had a cordon bleu. I had a steak wrapped in bacon. And I was thinking about how horrible it is that we treat these animals this way. And then it hit me. Donald Trump, J.D. Vance, and Melania Trump, those three people wore more makeup than any 20 or 30 people I know. Why don't they go to the fucking White House? Go to Lafayette Park. Go to Constitutional Avenue across the street from the White House. Make your voices heard there. God damn. And then I turned on the news and guess what I missed? I missed an actual protest at the White House. I mean, I get it. You have a cause, you want to protest it, I'm all for it. But you have that kind of energy, really? You're going to put that kind of energy at a store for selling makeup that may or may not have animal research? Yeah, well. I'm on shift right now. It's 12:33 a.m. So I'm on for another 9 hours. See how I feel in the morning, and if I'm up to it, I'll put some of this footage up. The mall walk, the FBI, the DOJ, not much there. But I kind of really want to show these fucktards blocking the sidewalk and screaming and yelling so loud you could probably hear them at the White House. I'm exaggerating it a little bit. They were loud. They were loud. Dang it, a view and a like. Oh, well, thank you. I got a view and a like. I'm headed to bed. Saw you live and wanted to give you a view and a, oh, thank you. A view and a like. Oh, a view and a like. Okay, thank you. MC Dilligaff and Alan Killian. Hello, Giggles and Giggles. Hey, Finkel and Alan. Mr. Wilson, never forget Kent State. Oh, yeah. I understand when the West Virginia National Guard gets here, they're going to upgrade from just uniforms to uniforms and firearms. I don't know what kind of firearms, but I don't know. One of the things that used to make me laugh when I was in the military, when they have us stand any kind of guard with an M16, sometimes the guard posts or the presentation we're showing is just the BDUs and the M16. No web gear, no LBE, no place to put an ammo pouch, and no magazine in the well. I wonder how many people are going to freak out about M16s or whatever they're using these days if they have no web gear and no magazine in the well. It's basically a stick. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see if they're locked and loaded or at least have an empty magazine in the well, so it looks like they're locked and loaded. I don't know. I kind of think that the current National Guard mission is just to show a presence and desensitize us to their presence, and then slowly upgrade their mission and their role as they get more red state National Guardsmen in here. Basically, the National Guard you see on the mall now are from the D.C. Armory, which means they live in Maryland, Washington, D.C., and Virginia. And when I say Virginia, I'm talking about Arlington, Alexandria, South Fairfax County, Maryland, similar properties around DC on the Maryland side, and we're pretty progressive, and a National Guard soldier is pretty much just a segment of the population. So something tells me if it came down to it, if they had to actually support and defend the Constitution, they would recognize that Trump is an enemy of the Constitution, not their neighbors and coworkers and that. Now, when they come from West Virginia and wherever else they may come from, they may think differently. Basically, a soldier is an American citizen in a uniform. So, what their politics is really depends on who they are and where they're from. They're a mix, just like that's actually what I've always thought. It would be hard to have a battle line civil war like we did in the 1860s, because an entire unit was like today's National Guard. They're all from one town. Most of them went to the same church. Most of them work together. They're literally brothers and neighbors. So they generally think alike. So whether you get them to take the Confederate side or the Union side, they're pretty much on the same sheet of music. Now, if you activate a National Guard unit to fight a second Civil War, some of them are going to be liberal. Some of them are going to be conservative. Some of them are going to be for what the president's doing. Some of them are going to be against it. So it's really hard to tell if the shit breaks out like that, which side is the soldier on? The soldier is an individual member of our general population. It's not a unit all from that grew up and half of them, you take a unit at Gettysburg from upstate New York. They all went to school together. Today, you get a National Guard unit, say at the D.C. Armory. You got people who got out of the military and have a 2 or 4 year reserve commitment, and they may be from Kentucky or New York or Florida or California, and they move to the area and they get jobs in the area, and they start thinking like the area thinks. Which around here is pretty blue. You get outside the Beltway, it starts turning purple and then pink and then red as you get up there towards Ariel's area. Right, Ariel? You in the chat? I don't see Ariel in the chat. I see 5 of you are listening to me. I don't know. I'm just rambling. 12:39. Nothing going on at work. Think I'll turn the volume up, trick the mouse out, and turn on the YouTube on the TV. See what other people are out there saying and doing. And tomorrow, if I feel like it, again, Monday, I'm driving to New York. Probably won't be doing much YouTube shit for a week, but tomorrow I'll be packing and laundry and preparing for the trip. And if I have time, I'll load today's video. Until then, let's see what the outro is for now. Cheerio.
On behalf of Finkel and the whole Finkel gang, thank you for watching. Remember to smash that like button,